Hey everybody, KC here. So I've read a couple of stories over the last few days that are, to be honest, a little bit depressing. I want to pass them along to you, not because I want to depress you, but because I think at the end of the day, retailers especially can play a role in sort of at least maybe stopping the tide of something that's happening that is not a particularly good thing for the country. Basically, the Wall Street Journal had a story about a new poll that they did, basically saying that results show that fewer Americans than ever are prioritizing things like hard work, patriotism, and religious faith. Here's some numbers from the story. Less than 40% of Americans said that patriotism is very important to them, and a similar share said the same about religion. In 1998, when they first asked about these values, 70% of Americans said that patriotism was very important, and 62% felt that way about religion. So a significant drop. Let's see, the number who say that hard work, having children, and involvement in their community are very important also has fallen over the decades. Money is like the only factor assessed that grew in importance. It was cited as very important by 31% of respondents in 98 and 43% in 2023. In addition, just 4 years ago, 80% of Americans felt that tolerance for others was very important. In 23, it fell to 58%. Not really a surprise there if you're paying any attention to the news. And although all age groups basically ranked values like patriotism and religion as less important, results show that sentiments are particularly low among younger Americans. Parenthetically, that's one of the criticisms of TikTok, and one of the reasons that people talk about maybe banning it from the US. It's controlled by the Chinese government, and the Chinese government has a vested interest in lowering Americans' opinions about America. There's particularly influencing young people, and that can be very dangerous. It isn't just a social media issue, it is actually a national security issue. So that's one set of statistics. NPR then had a story the other day about how federal officials last year confirmed that life expectancy in America has dropped for nearly unprecedented second year in a row. It's down to 76 years. Now, one of the interesting things here is more bad news that has come out more recently. Maternal mortality in the United States has reached a high in 2021. A paper in the Journal of American Medical Association found that there were rising mortality rates among U.S. children and adolescents. And across the lifespan, across every demographic group, Americans are dying at younger ages than their counterparts in other wealthy nations. Now, I'm not sure that these two different stories and the things about which they're reporting are necessarily connected, but I kind of have a feeling that somewhere they happen to be. Listen, you can talk about life expectancy only in terms of things like poor diet, lack of exercise, but there are other factors. If your feelings about where you live and how you're living continue to be sort of ground down by what you think are circumstances, whatever grievances you happen to have, that's not a good thing. I've talked about this here in the morning news before. I've always felt, and have felt for a very long time anyway, that there is an unraveling of the social compact taking place. In some ways, the culture is coming apart at the seams. People are just feeling unmoored. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a few emails saying, well, you know what? It's the progressives' fault. Okay. And frankly, I got an email like that about another story that I did. It's all the progressives' fault. I'll run that email at some point. I do have a response. But the thing is, things like that are unhelpful, okay? Because they're not really addressing the problem, unless you just say, well, people just shouldn't have different political opinions than you. Let's not go there for the moment. Here's the business perspective that I want to bring to it. This is the world in which your businesses are looking to hire. This is the world in which your businesses are seeking to serve customers. It's very difficult if people feel ground down, if people are feeling worse about their lives and worse about the culture in which they live. It's really difficult to serve them and employ them without sort of that rubbing off on you in some way. And so my suggestion is, what I think retailers especially have to do is figure out a way, how do we bring a little joy into our stores? How do we create a little bit of aspiration, a little bit of inspiration? I think that's relatively, that's really, really important. Now, listen, it's it's not it's not like retailers alone can sort of turn this thing around all by themselves. Um, but I do think it's important to say, if we're living in a world where one set of circumstances is forcing a significant and growing part of the population to feel a certain way, if we could do something to create a little something different, um, to I don't know, create a differential advantage for ourselves, both as a place to shop and as a place to work, I think that could be a huge deal. Yes, you can't solve the societal and cultural problems all by yourself, but you can solve just a small slice of it, and it's the slice that could have some meaning for your business. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning, and as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.